We can take people who are after yoga sessions, we can put them in the fMRI machine and see what areas of the brain are involved in helping yoga, which we have. And we know that people who do yoga get the same benefits as people who take anti-anxiety medication. Same impact in the GABA region of neurotransmitters in the brain. So that's pretty cool stuff, isn't it? So instead of taking anti-anxiety medication, you can do yoga. So it's really cool stuff. So yes, try it. I'm serious, right? Or just take your anxiety medication, whichever works for you. So we're getting more and more and more imaging technology. So you can take a look at, there's of course PET scans people are very familiar with, not very detailed, but we still use PET scans to look at cognitive functioning, things like that. I had mentioned epigenetics, and so before I sign off, I wanted to talk to you guys about epigenetics and what epigenetics is, which is really fascinating stuff. So epigenetics basically is the relationship between genes in the brain and behavior. And what we've done with epigenetics is we have figured out, where are my slides? There it is. So we know that genes that are expressed, meaning that you inherit them, right? They're biologically based material that you get passed down from your grandparents, your parents. They can change based on your environment and your experience. So just because you let's say you're genetically loaded for breast cancer, say, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get breast cancer, but let's just say that you eat a poor diet, you have a very stressful job, you don't have much social support at home, you don't exercise, right? You're more likely to express that gene. And what's interesting is that we know that these actually, epigenetics is basically, what'll blow your mind here is we know that how stressed or traumatic or what food or nutrition or drugs or chemicals your grandparents were exposed to can actually impact you and even your children. So it persists not only through a lifetime, but across multiple generations. And it's based on that the environment and experience through a wide variety of things. So chronic stress, trauma, drugs, culture, disease. It's a cumulative experience affects how genes might actually get turned on. And so that's the really cool part, is that the good nutrition that you practice today might protect your grandchildren and your grandchildren's children. And so, Kelly, not necessarily everyone, but potentially, it just depends, right, on your genes. So if there's somebody in your family that had cancer, chances are it could definitely be there, but it may not be expressed because you've got some protective factors that don't actually trigger it. So it's really fascinating. So of course we're working on gene therapies and stem cell therapies, but I will say that you do actually, because you're genetically loaded for a disease, meaning that you have a gene, is not a given that you will get that disease. That you can do things based on your environment and your experience to help yourself not have chronic illness. What it means is we have a lot more control over healthy behavior than we realize. And not only is it important for us to eat well and take care of ourselves and manage stress and not expose ourselves to chemicals for us, but it's important for our kids and our grandchildren. Isn't that interesting that it protects your genes across multiple generations? So that blows my mind. I don't know about yours, but it blows mine. So there's a cumulative experience affects how genes work. And so the next breakthrough is they're actually doing studies to alter genes and keep genes from actually expressing themselves. And so that we can make sure that if there is something you're genetically loaded for, and let's say you want to get pregnant and have a baby, that can actually help alter the genetic code so that you can still have a baby and that baby doesn't get this genetic disorder, which is pretty fascinating stuff. So eventually we're going to have humans that live forever, right? So yes, stress, multi-generational, absolutely. So we've known this about alcoholism too.